Welcome, everyone, to Awakening Spiritual Intelligence. Today's theme is centeredness. I'm Pauline. I will be your support tech host for today, and I'll hand it over to Yosi, our host.
Thank you, Pauline. Thank you. Hello and welcome. I am delighted to be here. And again, welcome to new and familiar faces. Good to see you, Kathy. And how are you feeling at this moment? Centered, frazzled, agitated? Please take a moment and check in. And while you do, you might notice my different background. I'm here doing this today from a hotel room in Arizona. It's a nice enough hotel room, but it's not as comfortable as my home. I've been traveling on the road this week now. I was driving several hours through Arizona, and despite its beauty and majesty, I was just feeling, are we there yet? Or how much longer? And now, to tell you the truth, after a few days in this hotel, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. Have you ever felt or said such? Perhaps you went on a hiking trip, but after a while you felt lost or exhausted, or a rain or a snowstorm started, and you silently said or out loud, I just want to go home. Sounds like a cranky toddler, right? I don't know about you, but I do recall saying this to my parents on some road trips from the back seat of the car, or while feeling bored and restless when we were visiting some relatives. And I certainly remember my own now grown, wonderful children complaining and saying such when they were feeling restless and agitated when young. So, tell you what, in a way, we are all such cranky little children who want to get back home. Our home is our divine essence, our spirit, our sacred spark of life. And this is the ground of our being. And when we are rooted and connected to the core and the ground of our being, we're resourced. We feel centered and connected in the flow of life. And like a strong and deeply rooted tree, we could sway with the shifting winds of life, coming back to center, bouncing back. We're flexible, strong, and grounded at the same time. And rather than react from a triggered place, we can meet and respond to life's challenges with open mind and open heart. Now, unfortunately, most of us have left this home. We went on a wild goose chase, seeking happiness, fulfillment, and joy externally, believing the treasures are out there. Well, in fact, the hidden treasure, our hidden treasure, is our birthright. It's already right here within, perhaps buried deep inside. The problem is we dropped it and lost track of where it is. And now we're lost in the forest. And we need to get back home to retrieve it. And we're just not comfortable where we are, wandering about, tossing and turning. We can't seem to find our way back home where we can settle, relax, and enjoy the flow of life. Excuse me. And the problem is that over time, the forest we're lost in has become overgrown jungle, and the paths are covered with thorny bushes. So we want to recover our inner navigation system so we can find our way back home easily and repeatedly. And the more often we practice going back home from different places in the jungle, in the forest of life, when we are lost, the easier it becomes to find our way back the next time. And we pave new pathways in the jungle, in our brain. And that's what we're practicing here today. Learning to get back home, back to center, back to our divine essence, the divine presence that is the ground of our being and our home, which is already right here and right now. When we're in our home, it is our sanctuary of peace and calmness within. At home, we can feel both relaxed and enlivened, at ease and in flow. Rooted there, we can meet and respond to life's challenges skillfully grounded in an open-hearted way. So let's take a moment and check in again. What are you experiencing now? How's it feeling to be occupying your body now? And if you care to, please put a few words in the chat. And whatever it is, whether it's tired or frazzled or centered or joyful or anticipating, loving, a bit antsy, whatever it is. So just put it in or just notice it for yourself. But notice if the very act of asking and reflecting on this question has an impact on your state. Just turning our attention and our awareness inward, for most of us, it does. Quantum physics tells us that we can't truly observe and measure a system precisely without affecting it. It's called the observer effect. For physicists, it's a huge problem, or for the evolution of science. Of course, both for those of us involved in inner sciences, this is a huge blessing. We have this amazing power, the power of our awareness, the power of our consciousness, and it can have a real effect on our inner and outer world. So please excuse my digression here. We're talking about centeredness, finding that sanctuary of inner peace and calm in the midst of life's turbulence, when we can recharge and resource ourselves to deal with whatever life presents us. But I think most of us believe that feeling centered, being centered, is a good thing. And for most of us, it's nearly truly impossible to stay centered all the time. The hand opens and closes, opens and closes. Otherwise, we would be paralyzed, to paraphrase Rumi. He has a poem with that. I'm quoting him. So the trick is to notice when we're off balance, off center, when we feel tipsy and wobbly, because realizing we're off center is the first step for getting back. If you ever watched the movie about the tightrope walker, I think it was called High on a Wire or something, who walked between the Twin Towers in New York on a tightrope. Of course, unfortunately, the Twin Towers are no longer there, but the movie is still there. It's quite an amazing documentary. But if you watched him, he was always a bit off balance. And in case you're wondering, he did make it through safely. So he was always rebalancing his way back to center. So he was leaning one way, and then before he falls down, he gets balanced and then on the other way. So it's the ability to realize he was off center and quickly getting back to center that kept him alive and able to walk the tightrope at 100 stories level up in the air. So it is with us. Not that we want to walk a tightrope. I certainly don't, but perhaps a more apt metaphor for us is we have more than a fraction of a second, which is what it takes to when you're tightrope walking. But, I think of it as realizing when we fall off the horse and getting back on the horse. So otherwise it might run us over, which actually happened to me when I was 13 years old and I was learning to ride horses. And I don't know, the horse all of a sudden stopped and threw me over, and he ducked and then kept running over me. He ran over, and luckily I was saved by my strong boot. So now I'm really back off track. So perhaps I need to get back to center myself. So let's see if I can get back on the horse for where we're going here. So today we'll be showing a few techniques and we'll practice them together. One of the techniques is the inspired meditation protocol, which some of you may have practiced here together in this program. And but before we do, I would like you to note your current state of calm, ease, aliveness, and peace. And mark for yourself your state on the scale of 1 to 10. 10 is being happy, alive, peaceful, relaxed, and energized. So it's this combination of relaxation, but flow and aliveness. And this is a state of openness and flow. And on the other extreme, a 0 would be a state of terrible anxiety, fear, terror, perhaps feeling tight and frozen. So just for yourself, notice your current state. And you don't need to share it, just you can notice and write it down for yourself. So we will now, I will guide you through about a 10, 12-minute meditation. It's called the Inspired Protocol. And Pauline is just gonna share here on the screen the acronym for Inspired. And I'll go through it in a little more detail, but basically it's inward gazing, nostril breathing, spine supporting. You can read it and we'll go through it and then we'll give a little more detail. So this is what the Inspired Protocol, each letter is an acronym, so you can over time master this and learn it on your own. So you can begin by just finding a comfortable seated position with the spine vertically aligned, supporting both relaxation and alertness. The spine is our information superhighway that connects all the nervous system and the neurons throughout the body and the nerves, where information is exchanged between the brain center and the head, the heart, the gut, throughout the body. And it's also the energetic channel that connects the crown top of the head that's pointed at the heavenly sky and the space above that's illuminated by trillions and trillions of stars with billions of galaxies. And we have that space and light above in the cosmic realm. And then we have on the other end of the spine, connected through the pelvic floor, our legs and feet, we're connected to Mother Earth, which is a lot more solid and supporting us and pulling us through the force of gravity in a loving embrace. So the spine is this information superhighway and energetic channel. So it's always good to pay attention how it is aligned so that information and energy can flow. So we'll begin now with the letter I, inward gazing. N, nostril breathing. S, spine supporting, spirit soaring. P, posture aligning. I, inhaling, exhaling. R, relaxing, receiving, resting, feet flat on the ground, connected to the center core of Mother Earth. E, expanding awareness. Perineum and pelvic floor. Hip joints and pubic bone. Lower belly. Diaphragm and solar plexus. Heart, chest, and lungs. Throat. Jaw. Lips. Tongue. Nose. Cheekbones and face. Eyes and their sockets. and the space between them at the brow, temples, and the space between them at the pineal gland, crown, top of the head, a foot above the head, back of the skull, back base of the skull at the occiput, back of the neck, upper shoulders, shoulder blades, back of the heart, a foot behind the heart, arms, hands, legs, feet, entire skeletal and bone structure as it supports the whole body, including the skin, the tissue, the muscles, the organs, and the blood vessels, sensing the pulsating flow of the blood through the arteries, veins, and the heart. Entire body, and the space all around it. The space above the head, how high does it ascend? And the space down below, how low does it go? And the space in front ahead, where does it end? And the space in back behind, does it have an end? And the space in the heart and center of chest, how deep does it descend? Sensing the totality and vastness of space as it envelops, surrounds, and permeates the body. D, dwelling in space. Doing nothing. Simply receiving, allowing the totality of reality. Resting in pure being. The simple, immutable truth of I am, with its dynamic flow and unfoldment of experience that is ever changing, ever evolving, arising fresh and anew, moment to moment. resting in being and ever becoming. Deepening into essence, dropping into the ground of being itself. The dark space that is quiet and still. The silence in between and underneath all sounds. The stillness of space that is the context for all movement. The darkness of space that is pervaded by light. Dropping in, deepening into the mystery of space. Empty space, made of nothing, no thing, yet holds and pervades all things. Dropping in, deepening with each breath. Each exhale, the moment the breath dissolves into the ground of being, as the next moment, the next experience arises on its own from this ground of being itself. This mystery of space. That holds and pervades all reality. Continuing to drop in to deeper and deeper rest. Complete rest, the place we drop into each night as we drop into deep sleep. So continuing to rest in the presence of pure being, allowing, including all that is arising, all that is moving, noticing the flow of the breath, as it's circulating and moving throughout the body. Allowing and including any sounds, the sound of these words, any sensations of pressure or temperature, warm or cold in the body. And in a moment, letting the eyes open and allowing the light, colors, and shape to come in, simply receiving it without going out, staying rooted, centered in this place of open presence, in this ground of being, the inner space at the core of our being. And now, please notice your current state after this meditation, about 10 minutes to 12 minutes. And again, on the scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your state of calmness, peace, flow? And notice if anything has shifted for you. And if you care to, please share something in the chat, your experience during the meditation, or what the effect of it compared to the beginning. Greater access to spacious, calm presence. So there's no right or wrong way of doing it. It's just paying attention to ourselves and noticing what works for us and how different ways of directing our attention affects our nervous system and our emotional, physical, mental well-being, how our hearts feels. Went from 7 to 9.333. I like that. Much more connection to my young parts and self. Need to step away for next package. Okay. Yeah. So more access to more parts of ourselves, so there's more wholeness, which is, we don't want to divide and say this is me and reject all those other parts. Okay, so let me share a client story. So when somebody's saying here, when I meditate, I like to work on my aura and also focus on my sensations. Great. So the aura is the light, and we are ultimately made of light. That's a whole other conversation in meditation. But our body, all matter is congealed energy and light. So our body is in fact light, even though it's all solid. But I won't go into that tangent. So let me stay maybe centered or not so, and share a client story. So my client I will call Carter, and he was facing a tough dilemma and pressure from multiple fronts. He was the founder and CEO of a tech company that he sold to a larger entity, and part of the deal was that they're going to be able to run it autonomously and keep his own culture. This worked fine for the first year or two, but then he was facing increasing pressure from the parent company to consolidate their sales team. It made more sense from a customer relationship point of view, and it was going to be more economical. The problem was that some members of his team hated the idea, and he was getting many emails and text messages from all directions. And this was very anxiety provoking and overwhelming to him, because he wanted to make his team happy. He wanted the customers to be happy. He wanted the parent company, the management to be happy. So when he was feeling this anxiety that was building, and I asked him, what was he feeling about himself in the situation? He said things like, I'm going to fail. I can't handle this. It's too much. I'm defective. And I imagine most of us at one point or another in our lives, we had similar thoughts and feelings about ourselves. But from this place, things looked to him like the world felt narrow and threatening, and other people felt like alien creatures. That's how he described them. So needless to say, this is not a great place to make an important decision for himself and his organization. And whether you can relate to this particular scenario or not, I'm sure most of us have felt overwhelmed, flooded, or taken over by doubts. That's part of life. So the question is, how do we get back to our centered, rooted place? And as Alan Watts once said, from center, you can move in any direction. When we're centered, we have more flexibility. We can assess the situation from multiple angles and decide which way we want to go. We're not stuck. We don't have our blinders on. Our nervous system is not overwhelmed. Our mind can think. We can have good judgments. So how did I help Carter get back to center? It may seem counterintuitive, but I first invited Carter to simply notice and allow his experience of overwhelm and anxiety just the way it was. What his associated thoughts were, what the sensations and energy in his body. So in other words, I invited him to get curious and open himself to the experience just the way it was in the moment, overwhelm and anxiety. And now this is the magic of the observer effect I talked about early on in quantum physics, or the practice of mindfulness in modern parlance. Simply allowing, noticing, and being curious about our experience brings us to contact and connection with ourselves and brings our neocortex back online, taking us out of the amygdala hijack state that we might be in. So after allowing and bringing open, curious awareness to our state, the next thing is to include the support of the ground or the earth underneath us. Mother Earth is always there under us, supporting us with two forces. One is the gravitational pull, or the loving embrace, as I like to think of it, which is the earth pulling us into her center, like a mother hugging her child. And that loving embrace of gravity is counterbalanced with the pressure and the support of the ground, keeping us on the surface through the structure of the building, the floor, the chair we're seated or standing on. So in this way, we're being pulled in, but we're kept on the surface of our mother, like a mother pulling her child in, not crushing them, but they're in contact and they're in place and held. So this is especially important to remain centered and seated on the chair rather than standing on it. Okay, I kind of lost it here, lost myself. So let me summarize this method so far. This is what I call this the AI method. And this is kind of my silly play on the acronym of AI, but A stands for allow and I stands for include. And this brings online not artificial intelligence, but the natural intelligence of our being, of our presence. So step one is allow your state to be exactly as it is. Simply notice it. And step two, include your feet, your legs, your pelvis, supporting you in place to feel exactly what you feel along with the weight of your body. So this is the AI method. Now, again, as I said, this is your natural intelligence of your being. And for more advanced AI, I know they're working on more and more advanced AI algorithms. And our more advanced AI is when we add more. So I'll call this the AIM method. This is the advanced AI method. It's allow, include, more. And so the AIM method is step one, exactly allow your state as it is. Step two, include your feet, legs, pelvis supporting you in place. And then step three is including more, the verticality of the spine, any sounds, any temperature sensations of warm or cold in your body, whatever it is. So as Carter allowed and followed the AIM protocol, allowed his experience, included the support of the ground, he regained his balance. He got more open and relaxed and could think more clearly. He called a meeting with all the key relevant people, and they were able to make a good decision that most everyone felt good about, except for one person who ended up leaving the company. But still, Carter made felt he made the right choice for the right decision. So point is, connected to our center, we're able to connect to our sacred life force where we're grounded, empowered, and open-hearted. Then rooted in our spirit, we are resourced and our thoughts stop racing and our mind quiets down. And we have access to greater clarity and creativity to deal with whatever the challenges we're facing. So we're going to try and practice this together now. And we'll be moving into a partner exercise where you can try out these centering techniques in real time. But first, we'll walk through the steps and Pauline and I will do a demo. So I'm going to invite Pauline to join me here, or okay, great.
Hey, here we are. Thanks for inviting me on stage, Yosi. Happy to demo with you.
Okay, thank you. Hope you feel this way through it out. Okay, so
Just wanted to make a note that we're going to be going into breakouts after we do the demo. I'm going to put the whole instructions that we're about to do on the screen and also send it through the chat. So don't worry about like taking notes as we're doing this demo.
great, thanks for that context. So the instruction, when you get into the dyads in the breakout room, you'll choose a person that will go first. We'll call them person A. So for this demo, Pauline will be person A, and I'm going to invite that person to think of a difficult situation that seems to activate or trigger you at least somewhat. But let's not bring up the most challenging situation you ever faced. Because then I'll get all flustered too. No, I'm just kidding. So person A now would take 1 minute to describe that problem, dilemma, or challenge you're having, and person B is just being present with them and tracking yourself. And contemplating as you contemplate this problem for person A and then person B, just listening to them, notice what the effect on you is. How's your breathing, your tension level, heart rate, body posture, energy, sense of aliveness, thoughts running in through your mind. So, okay, so Pauline, let's take a moment and describe a problem or a dilemma.
Okay, so the problem I'm currently facing is around my coaching business and not entirely sure what the next steps are for me to take. I have a lot of different ideas, but I've been like over ruminating and just spending time feeling the anxiety of like needing to take a step, but not sure what step is the next one to take. I know that hasn't been a minute yet, but
That's
should I
okay.
share more?
Sure, keep going if you have more to say.
I just notice it affects my meditations in the morning where I start thinking about, oh, well, I could do this and then I could do that. And I start brainstorming when I really should be meditating and I want to be meditating because there's this underlying fear, I think, about not being like taking enough action to support myself with my business.
Okay, great. So in contemplating this problem now and describing it, notice your breathing, tension level, heart rate, body posture, etc. And so let's look at these 4-sentence completions that will describe the state. So first, my body feels. So just what do you notice in your body? Sensations, tension, agitation, whatever it might be.
So when we're actually in the breakouts, this will be sent through the chat, but also broadcast into the breakout rooms just to remind everyone what these prompts are. Okay, so my body feels
In contemplating this problem with your
in
coaching
contemplating this
business.
problem, my body feels collapsed and uh, tightness in my belly and a sense of urgency.
Okay, great. And I am,
I am not doing enough.
okay, and the world is,
The world is too fast and expecting too much.
thank you. And from this place, other people are,
Other people mean well, but don't know how to help me.
okay. Yeah, so as it sounds like, so how would you say this overall thing affects you? I mean, it affects your thinking, your perception of yourself. Sounds like it brings you into a place of a sense of loneliness and isolation. Other people mean well, but don't know how to help. You're kind of on your own.
Just curious, is this actually part of the breakout assignment for the listener to reflect?
No,
You're doing your default holding space coaching role. I love it. But
no,
don't
it's
worry
like
for the
a,
breakouts. The listener will just be listening. But
yeah.
this definitely
I was just trying to get you to summarize the overall thing, but yeah, so those four prompts are all you need to do. But just kind of notice what that was like.
yeah, I do enjoy the question, just reflecting that it is a state of fear, basically. Like when you talked about the amygdala hijack earlier, I definitely noticed that where I'm looking at the world and everything as not supportive and more of a threat.
Okay, great. So again, person B, you're just there, tracking yourself and practice listening with compassionate care as they're uh, doing this. So now let's do this aim practice. I will do this again with Pauline. I will be broadcasting it. So as you've contemplated this problem and you felt all these sensations and the anxiety and the fear and the tension in your belly and all of that, so take a moment and just allow it to be exactly as it is, simply taking few breaths and bringing your gentle awareness to touch it gently without trying to eliminate, reduce, ignore, or change this difficult or unfriendly state. And simply open your awareness to receive it as it is. So as we allow the state, now let's continue to open the aperture of your awareness to include the weight of your body, your legs, and your feet as they make contact with the ground under you through the floor and ultimately Mother Earth underneath, all working to support and keep you in place. So let the earth, feet, and legs simply support you to be exactly as you are, as you allow your difficulty to include the ground and earth below. And notice what happens now. Does your experience begin to shift naturally or spontaneously on its own? So, what are you noticing?
And again, I think this is not actually part of the dyad because when they're in the breakouts, you're going to continue to narrate. Is that true? And you get to
No,
the
I'm gonna narrow dates and end the broadcast, and I'll ask them to notice what's happening just with the first step of AI.
okay, and you want people to share at that point.
They can just share or notice it. Yeah.
Okay, so you'll pause for a few minutes during the broadcast and then people can share. Already I'm noticing a greater calm and less reactivity. I'm not hyper focused on the problem anymore. It's sort of off to the side in my awareness.
Okay. And now let's expand the AI method with more. So now you've allowed your state, included the ground below. Let's continue to add more. You can add the sound of this voice, the sensation of your spine, or any other sensations like temperature sensations in your body, feeling hot or cold in certain places. Um, and as Yeah, so as you're doing that, you're expanding the AI method and adding M for more, which could be your aim. So what are you noticing now? What's your state now after the aim practice? If you do the same thing, my body feels,
So now we'll be sharing the same four prompts as before. Person A, so that's me.
yeah,
My body feels warm and alive and centered.
I am.
I am grounded and capable. The world is, I actually feel the world is sweet.
Sweet. Uh, and other people,
Other people are kind and creative.
oh, okay. That's a significant shift. So the point of this method is you don't have to be fighting and resisting reality and the truth of your experience. You simply allow it to be and open and include more. And you're not pushing away or so-called negative experience. Now, neither are you fixating or wallowing in it. You're just putting it in perspective, including it along with everything else that is alive and real for you. So it's not like you're looking for something extraordinary. I mean, gravity, our feet, our weight of the body, sounds, our spine is always there. So we're not rejecting and we're not grasping at anything. There's just more open acceptance and allowing of all. And as we allow and include more and more and more, we come to allow and include the totality, which is really a state of non-separation and wholeness and oneness. So, and that's really our essence, is this oneness, that this is our sacred ground, and we're connected to that sacred ground. Then we have these three things I talk about: interconnection, interconnection, and ultra connection. And that's kind of reflected in these prompts. Our relationship to ourselves changes, our relationship to other people, our relationship to the world. And so, um, so this was kind of what you would do as person A and person B. I will be broadcasting through the prompts, and then you'll switch roles. And B will become A, and A will become B, and that's to be or not to be, or to be or to become. Um, okay, enough silliness. So, are we ready to
I'm just going
go?
to go through the instructions just so we're all clear on the format. So first we'll have a minute each to say hello and introduce ourselves. So that's 2 minutes so far. And then you'll choose someone to go first. And that person will describe a problem, dilemma, or challenge you're having for about a minute. And then we'll tell you, so the broadcast will come through when it's time to do each of these steps, basically. So Yosi will come say on the announcement, time to do the 4 sentence stems. And they're in the chat. So once you get into the breakout, you can open the chat and scroll back to where I just pasted it in there. So these are the 4 prompts again. So the first one is more of a sensation, and the second one is more of like a judgment. And then, yeah, the whole time person B is just listening and tracking yourself. So then Yosi will come and guide the whole aim practice. And it sounds like Yosi, you'll pause at one point just to allow people to share after the AI a little bit about how that was for them. And then you'll continue with the more. And then we'll do those 4 prompts again, switch roles and repeat. Are there any questions about this process before we go into breakouts? Okay, and I saw Kathy, no worries. If anyone else can't participate, let me know. Otherwise, please feel free to turn your camera on, and I'm going to pause our recording. Okay, welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, so others will join, but let's get started here. Any comments or questions? What was your experience in doing this AI aim practice?
I see a comment. Wow, that was awesome. To feel so connected to another person so far away. This world is wonderful.
Hmm. Yeah. Amazing, huh?
And with strangers, it's like there are no strangers. We're just strange at times.
Yeah, well, when we're open, we're connected to ourselves, the stranger is doesn't feel so strange. We're all human, sharing the same divine essence. Yeah. Noah, what was your experience in doing this?
Oh, it was really helpful for me. I was feeling confused, some of the emotions and sensations in my body, and it kind of helped me mix up the ingredients a little bit, I might say. A little bit better. So yeah, that it was helpful.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay, and I see a comment here from Kathy. Um, I noticed when I focused on the problem, I felt very depressed and alone. When I expanded awareness, allowing the problem and also everything else in my awareness, I felt more spacious and calmer. Yeah, beautiful. So this is the principle. We tend to fixate on our problem and we're trying to fight them and change them, but it's like someone tells you, don't think about pink elephants. And, it's a hard thing to do, not to think about pink elephants. How you doing? Please don't think about pink elephants. We keep telling this to ourselves. And the harder we push against it, the more solid it becomes. So we don't want to push against it, but there's just like, oh, there's a lot more. Instead of not thinking about pink elephants, think about, purple butterflies and whatever else is there. So and then the pink elephants are not really there or a problem. Pink elephants could be beautiful as part of the overall web of life.
Could I make a comment?
Please, please.
I had an interesting insight that came when I was fixing my breakfast this morning. And since we're talking about AI today, it connects. And it's that I suddenly realized, in the moment, there's a thing in front of us we're looking at, and, all this stuff happens, right? And I thought, oh my God, we're built like a compressed file, and we get stuck on the little thing that's on the surface. But a life of experience, we got all that information in those layers underneath inside the file. We just need to open the file and let the information in there that's useful right now to pop up.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good metaphor. A good metaphor. You just double click and then you open it up and then you have this world of a new magical world. Okay, anybody else comment or question or we can zoom right along. We have another exercise. One of my tricks that would like to share with you. So the point is there are many ways to get recentered, and I'm sure you have your favorite. For some people, it's taking a shower, a bath, or going in the forest and called forest bathing, time in nature. I love walking on the beach, talking to a friend who can listen attentively and hold space, or talking to yourself in your journal, or you can meditate, exercise, or pray. And again, everybody has your own. So it's good to know. And some are longer, some are shorter, and So it's good to have a repertoire in our tool bag. So I want to share one more of my favorite quick tricks or a consciousness hack. It may seem silly, but it kind of works and tend to bring people into a state of presence. So we'll follow this protocol together right now. Pauline can put this on the screen. So wherever you are, just, allow yourself to be as you are. And step one is wiggle the big toe in your left foot. Now, 2, wiggle the pinky in your right hand. And 3, wiggle the pinky in your left hand. And 4, wiggle the big toe in your right foot. And step 5 is wiggle and press all 10 toes to the ground. And 6, wiggle all 10 fingers. And 7, wiggle all 10 fingers and 10 toes. And 8, sense both hands and feet. And 9, add your entire arms and legs. And 10, include your spine. And notice if you're more calm or more present. Who and what are you from this place? So it's relatively quick. It takes under 2 minutes probably. But it's actually pretty sophisticated in that what we're doing is connecting the left and right brain hemispheres. So when you wiggle your left toe, it's actually the right brain and so on, and because everything is cross. So so just take a moment and see what you notice in your body now. What happens in your emotions? You could do the same 4 sentences as kind of a weather report. My body, I am, the world, other people. Wow, instantly happier, brighter, more energized. That's magic. Wow. That's awesome. I'm delighted to hear that. Okay, so we are going to go into another partner exercise where we'll use the 10-step presence protocol to get centered. And we'll basically do the same thing. You'll land in a breakout room, take a moment to introduce yourselves each. And then person A, choose who's A and who's B. A will describe a problem, a dilemma, a challenge, again, 1 minute. And then you'll complete the 4 stems and think in contemplating this problem. My body feels, I am, the world is, other people are. And then well, I'll guide you. I'll broadcast into the breakout rooms this 10-step presence protocol. And person A will then do another weather check. My body feels, I am, the world is, other people are. Any questions before we go into the breakouts?
Welcome back, everyone.
Well, yeah, anybody care to comment, share, ask question? What's it been like for you?
I could share before the recording gets back on. I'd love to.
Oh, actually, let me pause the recording.
A session has helped me too. I'm always resistant, reluctant to join, but I always feel better by the end. The exercises were especially helpful today. It was easier for me to do them by myself, less stressful without the added social anxiety I experienced with a stranger. Yes, thank you for that. Thank you. And it was great to see other smiles. Yes, yes, here's a smile. I see a hint of a smile. Oh, it's coming bigger. Uh, and great to learn from each other and like we're supposed to on this earth. Amen, brother. Amen, sisters. So, yeah, the point is when we're connected, when we're centered in our life force and our essence, then we're open, we're relaxed, and connecting with others, and other people are less threatening and look more friendly, and we enjoy them. So if we could, so the point of grounding ourselves in our essence, in our spirit, not only does good for us, but then we radiate out this better frequency that affects everybody we come in contact with. And so we're getting to experience that here. And it didn't take too much, hopefully, to, a couple of minutes of these centering practices. And, the 10-step presence protocol takes 2 minutes. The allow and include and the aim, you could do that 2 minutes. So I recommend to my clients that we build the habit of doing this between meetings and taking a break, 2-minute breaks along the day. So we come back to center before we get frazzled. Coming back home. I just want to go home. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? No? Okay, I feel like we're here. We're here, we're there. We're home. Okay. Nancy, anything you want to share?
Yes, I love the way these two practices work together because the second one isn't just centering. It's reaching out from the centering place to wiggle. A wiggle is a different kind of movement. It's not purposeful. It's life moving through us in a very special way, daring to be seen from the inside out. But it's so nuanced that no one would ever know. And that's the way I've lived my life. And so I kind of laughed when Angela spoke about the recording piece and Kathy as well, because somewhere in my 30s, I guess, when I opened up and started speaking these things that are not unlike the things you speak about, but very sensitive, aware, different approaches to life, people started saying to me, when are you going to write your book? I want to follow you around with a tape recorder. You're a walking encyclopedia. Now they said to me, you're a walking website. I'm going, really? But in the middle, there was a place where when I was speaking the truth and people didn't want to change, it had a whole different outcome, right? Some of us know that experience. And it is so delightful since the pandemic with the huge shift. Something happened and people have a new thing about, I hear it in the parks conversation about especially people in their 30s and 40s saying something to the effect of, yeah, I gotta have a really good quality self care program for myself. In other words, not looking out there for the answer, knowing they need to take care of themselves. And this is a new movement. And so these two exercises promote that, Yosi. They promote it. It's so wonderful because, and this is a nervous system thing. Again, I'm not going to go real technical. I'm going to make it real simple. The core body, which we've been in training, it works off of the sensory motor part of the nervous system, right? And it has all those set programs that came from whenever, for how long ago. And then we have, where do these movements come from? If we take away the sensory motor, that interoceptive network of slower fibers, the fascia, body, and tissues and cells and cellular organic connections that look like they're slow, and people have maybe been judged for that. But that slowness is quantum because the whole body is responding, not one mindset. And so, what those two for me did was it made me more aware of the body mind connection in a very specific way that was introduced by these practices to see there is a real relationship there to play with and that the body is slower. So give it some time to spew out this quantum intelligence because it does take several seconds. It's not like a synapse where it just comes, wants to pour out, right? So the slowing down takes us there.
Yeah, slowing down, so
That's
important.
the message of these times, slow
Yeah.
down. So those two systems can dance with each other.
Yeah, dance. I like that. I'm seeing a bunch of smiles here. Anything else before we close? Noah, how about you? Anything you'd care to share?
I'm not sure if you're trying to unmute. If you are, I can try to help you. Did that bring us up there? Okay, great.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. I just get confused with the phone. No, I'm just sitting here trying to soak in everything that Nancy Ann just threw at us because that was so beautifully placed and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to be in this space with all of you today. I mean, all of these interactions have just really fed my soul in a way that I had kind of yeah, lost a little bit of confidence in. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. What are you feeling now as you share this?
Ooh, um, I'm feeling myself open up a little bit more. I'm kind of on a healing journey from some major medical stuff, and so it's been one day at a time for me, and each day is opening up new a little bit more hope for the next day. So that's what this feels like, just a little sunshine on this day, and
Yeah, and
it's
I see the
beautiful. I appreciate it.
sunshine and I see the
Yeah,
sunshine of your face.
it's
You're
actually
radiating.
happening. Yeah, in
And
real
then
time.
just check out, can you see the other faces as they receive you?
Yes, I can.
Uh-huh.
I can. They're
Okay. Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. So look at them just witnessing and receiving you. And what's it like when you see how the impact you have on these other souls?
It feels good. It feels really good.
Feels
It
good.
feels yeah, aligned, maybe is a better word. Mhm,
Fine. Okay.
mhm.
Okay. Anybody else want to share anything before we announce our next event? Okay, well, thank you all for your courage and showing up and contributing and receiving. Our next gathering is Friday, October 18th, and the theme will be service. So we serve that which we love, and we want to connect with that which we love that calls us to serve, which ultimately is one of the more fulfilling experiences of life that I know. So we'll hope to see you there if you're called to be, and your presence is of service, as you see here. And yeah. Okay, much love and many blessings for you wherever you are for today, for the weekend. And Kathy, good to see you.